No time was wasted in assembling a squad. This pitchfork army on a mission sent from God. No inch was safe from Reverend Paris's brigade. Their crusade, their crusade, their crusade. Call the magistrate and don't you wait another minute, cause this town is going to hell if we don't put away the sinning. And we got no time to let a jury have their turn. Let 'em burn, let 'em burn, let 'em burn. The damned were crammed into a carriage on the square. Their faces battered and their bodies all were bare. The Reverend led them to an isolated hill. Time to kill, time to kill, time to kill. One by one their necks were snapped beneath the cedar tree. The spirits vanished and the demons all were free. They dug a hole to hold the devilish remains. They were slain, they were slain, they were slain. The town was safe from all those wicked dissidents. They could continue with their life of innocence, dispensing justice from a higher power. They built a church atop the spirits and the bones. Their moans were heard as they were laying down the stones. But the witches got revenge beneath that steeple bell. They cast a spell, sent the Reverend to hell.
Hello, troublemakers, and welcome to Roll for Troubles DM chats. Today I'm going to talk to you about Barbarians, D&D 5e edition. What you can expect from them, what kind of play styles they offer you. Maybe a little bit of a way to make the best barbarian if you're that kind of player, if you're really looking for like stats. So yeah, let's get started. Barbarians are a armorless tank.
Oh, fuck.
They are the class that deals a shit ton of damage and can take a shit ton of damage. Which you might say, well, why is that? And I'll tell you, because when Barbarians as a class have a special ability called Raging. So when they go into battle as a bonus action, I believe, they can incite their rage. When they go into a rage, there are a few critical things that happen to them. The biggest one, which allows them to take so much damage, is that they are resistant to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage, which is all martial damage types. So if they get hit with a sword, they get bashed in the head with a club, or they get poked in the shoulder with an arrow, half damage is taken. So it's very, very important, a very key thing to the class. So one of the things that you need to know about Barbarians is that their main stats is going to be their strength and their con. The strength is obviously how hard they're going to hit. The constitution is how many hit points they have. You obviously, as they are, like I said, the armorless tank, you want your barbarian to have a good chunk of HP. So I did some research. Probably the best class, A+ class, that you can do is a dwarf subclass mountain dwarf. Now dwarves naturally get a +2 to their con modifier, but they also receive, which I think is called Dwarven.
Come on, what yells at the door?
Cat screams.
Cat screams. That's my favorite racial trait.
Not that one.
No,
that one hasn't made it into
screams.
that hasn't made it into 5e yet.
That's a new t-shirt.
Dwarven cat screams. I don't remember what it's called, but basically it allows dwarves to gain extra HP every time they level up. So it means that you have a larger pool of HP overall. And like I said, you have a +2 naturally to Constitution. They are more hardy overall. If you take a mountain dwarf, they have a +2 to their strength modifier. And there are some other racial benefits to being a dwarf. You can't be poisoned, or you take you can't be poisoned, or you take resistance to poison damage. One of the two. I can't remember. If you want to know, look in the player's handbook. But yeah, that would probably be the best class based on numbers alone. Other classes that would be okay for it, you could do a Dragonborn, which naturally has a +2 to strength, and the charisma really doesn't matter, but it does have the +1 to charisma. If you want to play an intimidating barbarian, Dragonborn might be right up your alley. And half-orcs as well. Half-orcs have a +2 to strength and a +1 to con. So I would say they're probably second best aside from the mountain dwarf. Other classes that you can do, just having something that is a bonus to those two stats, strength and con. You can do a stout halfling, which sounds weird, I know, but they have a +1 to con as a stout halfling. Humans, you can do humans for any class there is because they have a +1 to all of their stats right out of the gate. And humans also get some other bonuses because they're vanilla and, humans, meh. The other one that I found was rock gnomes. If you want a slightly more intelligent barbarian with a boost to the con, way to go. But, you can play any class you want. Those are just based on numbers, probably the better classes to pick. Just based on numbers alone, I didn't look at anything else as far as any other abilities that races get in comparison to what may work well with barbarians. I'm playing a dwarf, so I know about the HP thing. Just the only reason it really makes sense for a barbarian in my head. So yeah, barbarians, like I said, are made to take the hits. And like I said, they're armorless. So barbarians actually get a bonus to their natural defenses if they don't wear armor. So normally, if you don't wear armor, I think it's just 10 plus your dex. Whereas a barbarian, it's 10 plus your dex plus your con mod as your natural armor. If you have any magical items that, I think it's the gauntlets of shielding or gauntlets of protection, you can use those as a magical item. They give a +2 to bonus, +2 to AC, which don't count as armor, so you can up your armor that way. Barbarians can also use shields, and that doesn't count as armor. So if you want to go that route, you can. But depending on what kind of weapon and what kind of barbarian you're looking to play, maybe that isn't going to be what you want, but it is something that barbarians can do. Let's see. What else? So barbarians, like I said, are meant to give out the hits. All barbarians, regardless of subclass, overall gain the ability to gain what is known as a brutal critical. I think around starting at level 10, it's like 7 or 10, I think, you gain additional weapon die whenever you score a critical. So if you're using a weapon that's a D8, D10, D12, you're doing some banking damage right there. Which is also really awesome because depending on how your DM plays it, that's most DMs do all die when you crit. So it's either you roll 2 die, multiply by 2 when you crit, or roll twice. So you multiply how many dice you roll. So you can do it that way, either way with the crits. So brutal criticals, very important for barbarians. And this escalates as you get to multiple levels and you get higher up. At max level 20, a barbarian can have up to 3 additional die on brutal critical. So you're looking at 4 die in total if you crit, which is pretty awesome. If you have a weapon that does a D10 or D12, you're looking at 42 damage at minimum that you're doing to an enemy. Now, if you get a weapon that, say, has the ability that allows you to crit on a 19 or 20, you have a 1 in 10 shot of critting every time you roll a die. So that's one way to play up the stats there. Another thing you need to know about barbarians is that they rage, like I said earlier. They have a limited number of rages that they can do in the day, which you'll find in most classes have a handy-dandy table within the player's handbook, which I will just randomly flip to a page and show you. Here we go. It's the rogue one, but, that's it right here. And it'll tell you, basically break down what you get as a rogue, when you get it, or barbarian. Break down what you get, when you get it, what your proficiency bonus is going to be, if you have spells, what your spell slots are, how many spells you know, all that fun stuff. It's a very handy table to have access to. Print it out. I'm sure you can find it on the internet. Or if your friend has a copy of the handbook, make a copy. So yeah, the rages are very, very important to a barbarian. Is kind of the bread and butter of a barbarian. So going on that, depending on what kind of barbarian you want to play, in the player's handbook there are 2 subclasses that you can play: the Path of the Berserker and the Path of the Totem Warrior. The Path of the Berserker is the essential barbarian, like murders everything and everyone in its path, and God help you if you get between it and its anger. Barbarian berserkers are crazy. They gain the ability. So one of the key things about raging with barbarians is that their rage can end if they do not hit something or are not hit within a round. So their rage can be ended if, like I said, if those two conditions aren't met within a round. Now, as you get in the Path of the Berserker, you gain sustainable rages, which means that your rage cannot be ended if you don't take a hit, if you don't make a hit, or you don't attack anyone. Your rage can continue on. What is the other things? You become unable to be charmed or frightened while you rage. You can actually invoke fear into others around you just through sheer intimidation of the fact that you are literally a bloodthirsty creature. And I think at the maximum, you have the ability to retaliate every time someone hits you within a round, or you have a reaction within a round to hit back if somebody hits you. So you can, again, do more damage over time, and you just become a slaughterhouse. The Path of the Berserker is a pure tank. Nothing about whatever abilities you get as a Path of the Berserker help anyone else but you. That is, you are literally a pure tank. You hit, and you hit hard, and you hit a lot. Oh, that's another thing. So berserkers naturally throughout, or not berserkers, but barbarians throughout their class gain an additional attack, I think at like 5th or 6th level. As a berserker, you also gain an additional attack on a bonus action. An additional attack on bonus action. So for berserkers, you can attack up to 3 times within a round. Pretty awesome. In the player's handbook, the Path of the Totem Warrior is you're like a tank but with a hint of support. So with the Totem Warrior, you have 3 different totems you can choose from: bear, eagle, and wolf. Each one having a different ability that it grants you as you level up. And it's very much kind of a nature-y thing, so it allows you to kind of play with the nature aspect. If you're more into story aspects, you can play with that. I didn't really write down a lot about it because it was kind of annoying. The amount of just the differences. So we'll talk about just the bear. So for example, with the bear, you gain resistance to all damage except for psychic. So not only do you have resistance to the standard bludgeoning, slashing, and piercing, you now have resistance to everything: fire, cold, poison, acid, lightning, thunder, force, which is magical types of damage, which is pretty sweet, by the way. So bears obviously are stronger. So you get your maximum capacity for carrying is like doubled, and you have advantage on strength checks. I think the maximum level at 14. While you're raging, any creature within 5 feet of you that's hostile has disadvantage on attack rolls against targets other than you. So a lot of these, especially some of them, have the ability to be support or hindrances to others, to the enemy, which allows for your party members around you to be able to do more and attack more often, have advantage, that kind of stuff. Same with the eagle and the wolf. Yeah, it's one of the fun things that with the eagle is that you have flying speed when you get to level 14. It's the same distance as you're walking, but you can just suddenly fly 30 feet, and you're like, the fuck? Just imagine a dwarf going, whee! Yeah. So yeah, I think the wolf is pretty awesome. While you're raging, your friends have advantage on melee attack rolls against any creature within 5 feet of you that is hostile. Basically, you became the pack wolf, or the leader, and you're like, onward, my friends! And they're like, yes! So you grant advantage to anyone and everyone around you, which is pretty fucking cool. So yeah. I was just gonna do the player's handbook, but then I said, why not? I'll look at Xanthar's. So there are 3 additional subclasses within Xanthar's guide. You have the Ancestral Guardian, the Path of the Storm Herald, and the Path of the Zealot. The Ancestral Guardian, you're more of a tank shield with that one. You have the ability to summon one of your ancestors as a spirit, and they become a shield to others around you. So they're able to take damage that would have been dished out to an ally. And I think in return, eventually, the damage that can be that they take, or your ancestral spirit takes, can actually then turn around and be dealt back to the enemy. So it's more damage that you're dealing back, but also helping your allies. The Storm Herald, this one is similar to the Path of the Spirit Totem, in that you have 3 different auras or 3 different areas that you can choose from. I don't have it. Oh, hey, there's a Xanthar's guide right there. Man, that's handy. Totally planned that. I want to say it's the desert. I walked right past it. Druid is after Barbarian. Yes, so you have the desert, the sea, and the tundra, which makes no fucking sense as far as you're called the Storm Herald, and yet there are environments. But sure. So you have auras that you gain. I think the desert is typically fire related or heat. The sea, I think, is like a literal thunderstorm, and then tundra is related to the cold. A lot of these are the aura in particular does damage to any enemies within that aura. That's one of the first ones you get, is their Stormy aura. And then later on, again, you become a bit of a buff. I think a lot of them give, you gain resistance to damage types. You can then shield others with that exact same damage resistance type. And then the main one after that is... The aura can then do damage if you get hit and other stuff. But yeah, it's very much a buffy kind of support role, which is the Storm Herald. And the last is the Pass of the Zealot, which is is an interesting one, because you are tied to a deity in a sense. It's supposed to be that your extra oomph comes from a tie, holy wise, a divine wise. So you become kind of a tank buffer. You gain, so I think you gain like Divine Fury, which allows you to like, I think, max out damage or something like that, or you gain more damage overall. One of the best features, I think, of the Path of the Zealot is when you reach level 14 and you're raging, if you hit 0 below, you can still continue to fight. You don't fall. You still have to make death saving throws. And I think when you're raging, having 0 hit points doesn't knock you unconscious. You still must make death saving throws, and you suffer the normal effects of taking damage while at 0 hit points. However, if you would die due to failing death saves, you don't die until your rage ends. You then die only then if you have 0 hit points. So technically your allies could still be buffing you and healing you even after you've hit 0, and you're still fighting. You are unstoppable to a degree. Which I think is probably the best aspect of the Path of the Zealot, which is pretty awesome. Rage Beyond Death is what that one's called. I thought that was pretty interesting. It was like, character options. Okay. So yeah, those are Barbarians. I can't think of... If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I think if you're ever looking into multi-classing, I think Barbarians work well with Paladins and Fighters.
Wizards.
Huh?
Wizards.
You know. There's Grandma Whisk, who was a wizard, barbarian wizard. That was a thing.
Literal rage mage.
Literal rage mage.
Rage mage.
Fucking love Grandma Whisk.
You know? Whatever works, right?
Oh golly, here's a fireball, don't fuck it. I will punch you!
Grandma Whisk, no, you're gonna break your back or throw out your back.
No, let Grandma do her thing, it's fine.
Not if I break them first!
I mean, fair, but oh my god! But I think more of the martial classes go really well with the, with Barbarian. I think probably the most interesting would probably be a monk barbarian.
Jesus.
Just because then you would be super, super fast. Like, what the fuck? Even if you did halfsies, like 10 and 10, you would probably still have enough to have at least maybe 2 die in brutal critical, and then you have multiple attacks.
That's how we broke the game.
Like, holy shit. Although there are some stipulations to rage that you do have to watch out for. You can't cast spells while you're in rage. So obviously caster classes with barbarians don't work all that well as far as the spell castings.
But But once your spell slots are gone, it doesn't matter.
This is true. Finish off those spell slots and then go to town with your fists.
I mean, they'll never expect the wizard to pull out an axe and beat them.
You were just casting fireball at me. What happened?
Oh no, I'm so squishy and hiding in the back. You fell into my trap!
Because, I mean, it's not like wizards or monks, not monks, wizards and sorcerers actually do much as far as armor, because I think all they can do is light armor anyway, which doesn't provide that much protection, to be honest. So, you know. No, apparently that was not going at all.
Everyone should be a rage mage.
Yeah. Okay.
You okay there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm sure.
You alright there, bud?
Yeah, I'm fine.
You got it?
Yeah. I was just staring at my face and okay, there it goes. And it was frozen in a weird spot, and I was like, my face. So yeah, I feel like that was the quickest 30 minutes, aka maybe not 30 minutes.
It was like 25.
Hey, cool. So yeah, we're gonna do this through the entire book, because I have nothing better to talk about. So we're gonna go alphabetically through the rest of the book. We'll do an episode. So I think after Barbarian is the Bard, which should be a truly interesting experience. So I know enough to be dangerous when it comes to the classes for D&D. So I'm actually excited to do this because it'll give me a better chance to kind of familiarize myself with the classes, and I think it'll help me overall with my DMing, and just give me options as I think about things, maybe for other characters in the future, because I like playing D&D too, as a player, not just a DM. So yeah, I hope you found that helpful. Hope it helps you break the system, as it were. If not, just, play whatever you want. I mean, barbarians are great regardless of what race you use. I mean, I think it's hilarious if you have a tiny-ass gnome that's just coming at you with a fucking, bat, and you're just batting away at somebody's kneecaps. Like, hell yeah! Do what you want, man. Do what you want. But yeah. I hope that really helped out, and I hope you all enjoyed my frantic rantings about barbarians, and look forward to me next week. Not next week.
Nope.
In 3 weeks. 2, 3? 3. On the 3rd week.
Numbers are hard.
Time is hard, guys. My brain is fried. At work, I go from thinking about tomorrow to the day past, and I just don't really know what day it is at all anymore. It's really confusing. There are days when I go home from work on Thursday and I'm like, man, it's Friday. Fuck. It's Thursday. Shit. Almost every week, too. You think I would learn, but I haven't. So, yeah. It is what it is. So, yeah, in 2-ish weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. I'll be back. Next week is Susie's DM chat.
Hello.
I like that you waved, Susie.
I don't know that she has a topic picked out.
Oh, no, I do.
Oh, okay. What is it?
It's a surprise.
Oh.
It can't be a total surprise.
It's not going to be a total
Okay, I was
surprise.
going to say, I have to make the graphic!
Surprise!
That'll
for
just
you.
be the graphic. DM chat. Surprise!
Surprise, motherfucker.
Hard ass, motherfucker. So yeah, Susie's next week. DM chat's here, 8 o'clock. This Sunday at 10 a.m. we have River of Tercel. I'm going to turn this around so you can actually see the graphic if you think about it.
You can't really see it,
Oh,
but I
yeah.
appreciate it.
I thought maybe it would work, but anyway.
The time changes this weekend, so be prepared.
Oh, that's true. Fucking A.
Uh-huh, so yeah, that Tercel game is going to be early.
I'm not a morning person.
Too bad, you have a date, you gotta get it together.
I was like, I do not. Oh, wait. Not me, personally, my character. Yes, you should join us for that. I'm sure it'll be super awkward because Badger doesn't know what the fuck she's doing. She's been lonely for a really long time.
She was unaware she was into super buff elves until this exact moment.
Basically.
It was like, oh no, she's hot.
Yep. It happens. So yeah. It's River of Turrysill this Sunday at 9-10 o'clock in the morning.
10 a.m. technically.
10 a.m., but with the time change, it'll be 9 a.m. prior, but still 10. And anyway, then the following week will be Andy's DM chat, and then Tales from Cyril on Saturday.
Next week is Susie's DM chat, and then
I said the week after that. The week after Turrysill.
Turrysill is Susie, because that's next
Oh,
week.
shit!
We're doing great, y'all. 10 out of 10.
Oh, no. Okay, so here we go. Let's try this again. River of Turrysill on Sunday. Susie's DM chat next week. Tales from Cyril Saturday. Got it. Bam. Don't ever listen to me when it comes to the schedule, guys. I'm terrible at it. Just look online. Go online to our Instagram. Go online to our Twitter. There is your schedule put together by the professional Andy, who actually keeps up with schedules much better than I do, even though I have a fucking calendar. Sorry, that was really loud to you guys. I'm so sorry. That was terrible of me. I forgot that was right there. Okay. Anyway,
We're gonna end the stream now.
thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time, Internet.